I love building my own LEGO creations, but noticed I don't have a single Christmas set on display. So in this video, I'm going to make 3 custom LEGO sets, all based on iconic Christmas films that you and me grew up with. I've got a box full of pieces for these models, and hey, maybe you can guess what's coming up based on some of these pieces.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Everybody knows The Grinch. It's great, just like the people who brought you this video, Squarespace. Even though they've made a remake in the last couple of years, nothing beats the Jim Carrey live action version. And what's a better way to start where I can build him and his sled so he can go and steal Christmas? This Pimp My Ride sleigh looks like your basic oversized sled. It's a pretty basic shape, it shouldn't be too hard to make.
I was wrong. Although the giant sled is definitely the easiest build we have here today, there were certainly some challenges throughout this model. I started by using some standard plates and tiles for the runners, but trying to get the weird looking shapes of the Grinch universe is incredibly difficult to do in LEGO. And especially because the Grinch has a bunch of trinkets all over his sled, I wanted to make sure I could get all the details in.
From 17 million headlights to fans that just stick out at the side of every corner. Add these controls so he's able to control this thing, and add these really cool looking jet boosters to the back. And then he only needs one more thing so he can steal all of Christmas.
And here's where the next challenge came in. How the hell do you make a fabric sack? Well, I started with a 2D shape of the sack, thickened it up a little bit with bricks, and then to round it out I used some of these pieces to add slopes to try and match the shape a little bit better to the film.
Now the Grinch has everything he needs, but what's the sleigh without the Grinch himself?
And there we have the Grinch and his sleigh and his little dog Max. I know Max isn't accurate, they don't make that kind of dog. And I think this will be a fantastic ornament on the shelves. You guys should let me know what you think of this one, but for now, let's move on to the next.
Hello.
I think my #1 favourite Christmas film has to be Home Alone.
Purely for the shenanigans that Kevin just gets up to. So I thought that this should be our second set we build on our nostalgia trip.
And yes, I know, they have their own set, but I don't have the money for that kind of thing, so it's up to us to make our own. And as we can't make the entire house, I think I'm going to pick my favourite scene. The one where Harry and Marv are trying to get up the stairs and they just physically can't. As I want this set to scale well with minifigures, we're going to need a pretty big base to start.
So using a combination of black plates and tiles, we can build up a nice looking base here. This one's about 14 by 23, and with a base this size, you can certainly say it's going to be bigger than the one that's included in the Home Alone set. Speaking of staircase, we are going to need a set of stairs for Kevin to climb up, so stacking loads of 1x1 and 1x2 plates on top of each other, we can build up the staircase and attach it to the base to start giving this model some height.
Now that we have some stairs for Kevin to throw some people down, I think it's time we build up some wall to make this set look more complete. As far as the walls, it's quite hard, as the McAllisters really like some disgusting wallpaper. But that got me thinking there is an official set, and maybe the official set used something to make the walls look slightly nicer than just, nope, they just used a brown brick. Amazing. It's okay though, with the power of you hitting the like button and this piece, I have a few ideas on how we might be able to make the wallpaper texture.
But that's going to take some time, so we'll come back to this later and we'll take a look at the next set.
The Polar Express is probably one of those more memorable Christmas films, especially the scene where the train just Tokyo drifts itself all over the ice, and that really weird, creepy kid that always looked really, creepy. But as we are running out of budget for this video, we can't exactly go ahead and build a giant Lego train now. So plan B is to go with micro scale. No, it's not a cop-out, I promise. Even though the model itself is going to be small, we still need a large base so we can build up the frozen lake. And while I'm building up that lake, I would like to tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is a super clean and easy way of making your own website. I would know TommyCBricks.com is made using Squarespace. I've been using them for over a year now, and I can wholeheartedly say that it's easy to use and the features are super simple, unlike this Home Alone wall that I'm still currently making. Uploading pictures with a simple drag and drop feature, and video blocks allowing me to upload videos directly to my website, all without knowing a single line of code, is almost as awesome as this train carriage I just made. And inside, I'm sure they're all dancing around because they just found out about Squarespace's commerce tools, allowing you to find out where people are coming from, how active your website is, and that Squarespace automatically optimizes your websites for mobile thanks to their award-winning templates. So what do you want for Christmas? I know what you want. You want to try out Squarespace. Well, don't worry, I gotcha. Use my link in the top of the description and you'll get a 30-day free trial for Squarespace. And not only that, you'll get 10% off your first website or domain name if you use code TommyCBricks. Thanks for Squarespace for sponsoring this one. Let's build a train to go with that carriage we made. The Polar Express is a one-stop shop to the North Pole, and even though we all know what it looks like, I'm hoping this model comes across accurate to its on-screen counterpart, as this model is so small.
The shaping's pretty good, and it does have the tender using a multitude of techniques. I especially love this piston rod technique, and paired with the carriage we made earlier, putting this train on the ice looks pretty, actually...
Yeah, I think we're gonna need something else. Looking back at the scene, we need to add some trees and snow in the background to show how big the mountains are.
And I think we can do this pretty simply if we just take a bunch of white slopes and add them to the back of our ice scene. I'm using a studs on the side technique to create the illusion of hills, and I'm using tiny little green cones to represent trees that are just really far away.
Then I think we have enough elements to complete the scene, showing the train slipping on the ice. Speaking of slipping, let's see how that Home Alone set is getting on.
Even though this wall took forever and it hurt my fingers by the end just sticking on all those 1x1 tiles, I must say now that I've finished up the wall and I've added it to the set, it looks really nice. And taking a look at it compared to the wallpaper in the film, I feel like we've done a really good job in replicating it, even though some people might think the wallpaper looks a bit funny sticking out from the wall itself. The brown things on the wall are meant to represent picture frames. Unfortunately, I don't have the Home Alone set, so I can't put the stickers that would feel right to go in these places. But I didn't want to not include the picture frames because they are a very prominent thing on this particular wall.
Now we just need to make it look a bit more detailed. Looking at the house, it's pretty fancy. So I think we need some fancy banisters, and we should probably extend this hallway just so it looks more like a house. At this point, I think we're going to tile everything off. And hey, if you've got to this point in the video and you're liking it, you're clearly interested in the content, so press subscribe and stick around. We got plenty more of this stuff planned for next year. Now I think it's time to just put in the final details and set the trap, like all of these little cars that we're going to put all along the floor, this little chair, and a plant. And with that, there's nothing left to do than for us to add our minifigures.
I feel like this one is definitely my favourite. The wallpaper really does set this model off as being a more detailed set. I love all the little cars and the fact that this is scaled really well with the minifigures, and really does feel like something LEGO would potentially make as a Christmas diorama.
I wanted to finish off by saying I hope you guys have had a fantastic year, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I learned so many of the techniques I used in this video from this one, so you guys should definitely check out that one if you're interested in the way that I build things. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Holly hanging across the door, neighbors singing tales of yore.